Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and look what a sweet friend, Mary, sent to me. Lots and lots of junk envelopes and lots of big ones. We don't get these large ones here. I might get one ever so often, but not very often. So I love this large one, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with one of them. The first thing you want to do, and I may just use my trimmer, see if I can get it a little bit straighter. First thing you want to do is trim off just a little tiny sliver of the edge. You just want to open this up. So it doesn't take much, just a tiny bit. My trimmer doesn't like trimming it either, so let's see if we can do it. If we can't, we may have to go in with the scissors, but yeah. That'll work. That will work. Just like that. So you just wanted to open that up. I'm going to put that away. So we've got that opened up, and now what we want to do is these little pieces right here, you can leave them on and just make sure that they're glued down well, or you can take them off. I'm going to leave mine on because it just makes these sides a little bit stronger, but I'm just going to take my scissors and trim off. Just make them even there. Just like that. And I may just go on down a little bit. Just kind of evening that up. There we go. All right. So you have it like this. Now, this is where you can decide different things that you want to do to it. You can cover this with regular paper. You can cover it with a napkin, which is what I'm going to do. But before we cover it, if you have a napkin that's a little bit thin and you don't want these places to show, then we can do lots and lots of different things to that. I think what I'm going to do is, and let me look right here, see what I have. You can put paper there, you can put book pages there, just different things. I think I'm just going to put some book page pieces across that, and it will just give it a look, give it a little bit of a different look. You'll be able to see the book page under instead of that writing that we don't want to see. So I'm probably just going to tear some pieces and put on here. And you can ink around them if you want to. I don't think it's necessary because you're just going to have pieces of this that's going to show through. So, and I'm just going to lay some in different areas. Cover up this on here. And then just cover different places. And you can put as much or as little as you want. It doesn't matter. That's up to you. Or you can do a lot of stamping on here too. A lot of it is not going to show through, but you're going to have just bits and pieces of it that's going to show. And I'm going to put some book page over that because that's kind of thin right there. So I want to build the strength of that up just a little bit. So let me grab something. And I'll just use this little piece that I've saved here. And this is just off of one of our printables. So we're going to put that right there. And let's see, I need a little bit of something right there. Don't really want to introduce a blue. So let's grab another little piece of book page, or see what we have in here. This is my book page, my music page, that kind of thing. Okay. Alright, so let's lay that down. I'm going to lay one right there. Let's just lay that down on there so that we can get a feel for what that looks like. And I'm going to use my gel medium. And I've had quite a few people that have asked me, can you get this in larger quantities? Yes. I usually buy it in like the 16-ounce jugs. This is just a little bottle that I keep on my desk that I put it in instead of having that great big jug. But yes, you can get it in smaller quantities or you can get it in larger quantities. You can even get it up to a gallon. And it is Liquitex, which is the brand, but it's just as good as this. It's just as good as this Dina Wakley. The Dina Wakley is just a little bit more expensive. And all it is just, I guess, her name, because it's basically the same stuff. Just make sure that it is the matte medium if you don't want to shine. You can get the gloss medium if you want to shine on yours, but I don't like the shine, so I get a matte medium. So, and I have those linked usually in my Amazon store, which is linked below, and then I also try to have a link just directly to them. Sometimes the brand that I put there will sell out, or the size that I put in the link will sell out. But if you just look down below, and I'm putting kind of a light amount on here. I want these to be held down, but I don't want it to warp my paper any more than what it does. So I'm making sure they're held down under there, because you don't want them coming up when you put your napkin over it. I'm having trouble talking and crafting at the same time this morning. I know that doesn't happen to anybody else, just me. Sometimes when I'm concentrating on what I'm doing, I completely forget about the camera. And I forget that I need to be talking and explaining what I'm doing, and I just lose it. I just forget. All right, I'm gonna put this down across here, since that's very, very thin right there. I just want to strengthen that up. Okay. All right, now we're going to let these dry, and you could go ahead and put your napkin down on this, but I'm going to let this dry just a little bit, because I may want to come back in with a little bit of stamping in between these. So just depends on what napkin I'm going to use. I think I'm going to use the one that's right here, but I'm not sure. I'm still kind of debating on that. So you may have to just let this dry just a little bit, and then we'll come back and try to finish up. So all of this is dry, and I think I'm going to stamp just a little bit on it. I'm not going to do a lot of stamping. Let's see. I may just use this Tim Holtz, and this is Perspective. And if I can find the link where somebody has this, I will link it below. But I'm just going to use this one that's just got a bunch of numbers on it. And I'm going to use my Memento ink. You don't want to use an ink that's going to smear, because when you put your gel medium on there, it will smear if you use an ink that's not waterproof. And I'm not trying to get a perfect stamped image, just some different places. Most of this is not going to show. It's just to keep from having that white background on there. There we go. Just random stamping. I'll put that back up. Now I'm going to give that just a second to dry. It doesn't take it long, so just a second. Now I'm going to wash out my brush, because I did put it in water so that it wouldn't dry up. Okay. Now let's see, that needs to dry just a little bit longer. So I am going to use this napkin to go over this. I think this is so pretty. And this came in a new package, and I haven't shown that package yet. I just got it in, and I just saw this napkin, and I was doing this project, and I thought that will be great for it because it doesn't have a direction, and it's long enough. Now, I need to orient it the right way, so this is going to be top right here. So what we need to do is our napkin is going to need to go that way right there, I think. Now that's going to put these birds upside down, and these birds are going to be upside down. Okay, we need to put it the other way then. Alright, so those birds would be right side up, and then when we fold that up, they'll be right side up. So that's the way we need to put it right there. So we need to lay the napkin on like that. So the way I'm laying it on is, this is going to be like your bottom part of your envelope, and I'm laying the napkin right side up toward the bottom, and if you can understand that. And let's see, I think go right there. Now I'm going to leave my window open, so I'm going to try not to put the gel medium there. Alright, so I'm going to lay that over there just like I'm going to put it on, and hopefully this is dry enough. If it's not, I'm not going to worry about it because, like I said, it's not really going to show through that much. So if it's not completely dry, it's not a big deal. Now let's see, I need my little I need my little glass mat, and I don't know what I've done with it. So we're just gonna put it down on here. I will have to clean it up good when I get through. I can't find my glass mat. I cleaned it and set it out to dry. See, that's not completely dry, so it's smearing, but I'm not gonna worry about it. No biggie. That's not gonna show through. All you're gonna see is just the image. You're not gonna see the exact thing there, so it's not a biggie. But do wait for it to dry. The only reason I'm not waiting is because I'm doing the video. If I wasn't doing the video, I would definitely wait for that to dry. Give that ink plenty of time to dry. It does take it just a little bit to dry, and once it dries, it will not smear. Now I'm going to try to go around this very, very carefully. If I get a little bit on there, it's not a big deal. I can clean it off, but I'd rather not have to clean it off if I can help it. Right now it looks like a hot mess, doesn't it? It will look better in a little bit, I promise. Okay, now since my napkin's trying to blow away, I'm going to grab it. I got my fan on, that's probably not a good thing. And I'm just going to try to go as even as I can across here. So my birds won't, well, you know, if my birds are flying south, that's okay. If they fly a little crooked, it doesn't matter. And these are little hummingbirds, which I love. That's my favorite bird. Hummingbirds. I think they're so pretty. And they're always working. And so you can see a little bit where that's smeared through there, but it's not going to be a big deal. Once it dries, you're not going to see that much of that. But you cannot, if you don't want to stamp, you don't have to. That's not a necessity. You do this like you want, just like I did. You make the project yours, not mine, but yours. Okay, now I'm going to come back and I'm going to put a layer on top, just a thin layer. And this just helps everything glue down really well to the edges And it gives that top that nice feel where it makes it really strong so it doesn't tear. Now around your window, just make sure that you get a good coat there. We're going to put lace around it, but we just want to make sure that it has a good coat around it too. Okay, we're going to lay this aside and let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll start putting this little, we'll call it a clutch bag. We'll start putting this little clutch, well, not a clutch bag because we're actually going to put some pages in it, so let's call it a clutch journal. That'll be a good name for it. All right, I'm going to lay this under my fan and let it dry, and then we'll come back and put it together. Now this is dry to a point. It's dry enough that I think we can work with it just a little bit. So I am going to try to pull this napkin off of this window right here. And I'm just using a little pokey tool to tear that. You could use your knife blade if you wanted to. If I use my knife blade, I'll probably end up cutting all the way through everything. So I'm just going to get it started, and then I may just see if I can get my scissors in there to cut. Okay, so let's see, where are our tiny little scissors? Let's see if our tiny little scissors will do this. Scissors. Didn't pronounce that very well. Scissors. Yeah, they'll cut it. You just need to be very slow and careful when you're going around. So that you get just the top part and not cut any of that plastic. See how far that goes back. There we go, right there. Now, if you do get a little bit off, don't worry, because we're going to put lace around this. But if you're not going to put lace on yours, then you might need to be really, really careful. Now, I saw one of these, a similar one of these, not exactly like this one, but similar to this on Natasha's channel a few months ago. So I will link that below so that you can go over and check hers out. She is so talented, that girl. She's very, very talented. So it was inspired by her. Mine's going to be a little bit different, but it was definitely inspired by her and her channel. Now I'm going to clean that off right there just a little bit. That will work. So there is our little window. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to cover the inside with a nice strong scrapbook paper, and one that's going to look pretty to show through here. So let me see what I can find to put that's large enough that I can put on here. So I think we're going to use this scrapbook paper. I kind of like the way that shows through that window, and it's got the same colors in it. Now since our let me think, since our envelope is bigger than 12 by 12, then we're going to need to piece it on the flap up here, which is not a problem. So I just want to make sure that I put this the right way. Is that the right way? Not really. So we need to put it this way. Yeah, that's going to show through. try this side. It's going to be just as good right there. So we're going to glue that down on the inside just like that. I'm going to lay it over there so I'll know how I'm going to glue it. Now you could use PVA glue for this. I wouldn't use a glue stick. I'm going to use this because I know it holds well, but I would just use a strong glue. Just make sure you don't use anything that's real, that's going to come apart in time. You don't want your little journal to be falling apart. So just use a nice strong adhesive. I'm just putting it down on part of the page first, and then I'll put it down on the other part, because this glue dries really fast, so I don't want to now. I'm not bothered that the inside of this is going to be a white. That doesn't bother me. I just wanted to be able to see that paper through that window. But if you'd rather have a color in here, then make sure that you use a double-sided scrapbook paper. I just want to see this image through the window, which I guess I could have just cut a piece, couldn't I? But I'm not going to worry about it. This is just nice and strong, and it was a piece in my scrap, so it's not a big deal. I'm not wasting it. It's been in my scraps forever, and I haven't used it yet. Okay, then we're going to lay that down on there. I'm just going to flip it over. Look at that. Isn't that cute? I like that through there. I like it. And I just grabbed the first or second paper that I come to that was big enough. You could always search through or just put your own little image in there. You do not have to do this like I'm doing. That's up to you. I just think that's pretty with the same colors. It does have a little bit more of the green in there, but that's okay with me. I like that. Okay, let's trim it off. Now I'm going to come back with this, and I'm going to put it right here on the flap. And I'll probably use this side on the flap. Most of this is going to be covered by our pages that we're going to put on the inside. And we can always add something there if we want to. So that doesn't bother me at all. This is just mainly for the strength here. This paper that I put down. The flap is going to be seen quite a bit, so we're going to put some adhesive on here and put this paper down. Alright, and now we're just going to fold that, try to put our folds back in. Now you can see my birds are right side up here on the back. They're not, but I'm not going to worry about that. That's the back side, and this is going to be our little album that opens up like this. I'm just going to make sure that I've got this as straight as possible so that my little journal is going to be straight. Alright, I have a little bit more of this paper, and I think for the back, I'm just going to make a flat little pocket like that. And let's see where my punch is. Whoops. So we'll put that right there. I'm going to ink on this. And then we're just going to glue that down just like that. And then I think up here at the top, I've got just this little piece, and I'm just going to put one of those little top tucks on there. If I can go straight with my glue. Let's see. There we go. All right. So we have a little tuck under there. And then for the front right here, I'm going to make one of those little library or inner office pockets. So let's make one of those. Grab my scoring tool here. Now this is cut, of course it's going to depend on your it's going to depend on what size you're using, but I cut this at 6 5/8, and then I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on both sides on the long side. Let's see, right there. I think that's going to get it. I'm going to fold this over. Okay, then let's see. And I could have scored this on my scoreboard, but I wasn't really sure how I wanted to turn this up here. I think right there will be good. And I'm just turning some of this up to make a pocket. Got little ink giblets everywhere. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm thinking I want to trim this off from right here where that score line is, where I just made that score line in the center. I'm going to trim all of this right up through here off, this whole little piece. Now you can do this with your trimmer if you want to. I'm just going to try to go straight enough with my scissors. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. And I think I can see it better on this side. There we go. Got a little bit of the score line showing right here, so we're going to trim that off. And then I'm just going to trim these at a little bit of an angle, so when I fold it up, they're not going to be in the way. This is just how we make our little pockets. Alright, then we're going to put some glue on that, and we're going to glue that down, just like that. So let's put a little glue on these flaps on both sides. You just want to glue it down like that. I'm going to move this up so I don't get glue all over it. Then if you have any, excess sticking out over here, you can trim that off. I have just one little piece right there, the white. So there's that part. And I could have cut a little pull in here before I glued that down, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to put a little score line right there. It's easier for me to put a score line and fold that over than it is for me just to try to fold it over without using a score line. So we're going to put, let's see, I'll put a score line right there. Yeah, that works. And let's see. I want to trim this off a little bit more because I think it's not real straight. There we go. And then I'm just going to trim these corners. And I'm just going to kind of round them and then trim them down like that. See how I did that? And I'll try to do this one the same way. You notice I said I would try. I never get both of them the same, but we can try. A little bit more on this one. There we go, that looks good. See, we have our little flap there. And then I'm going to ink around this just because it is, you know, I've got a little bit of that white core showing, that white backing. So we're going to ink just a little bit to cover all of that up. And I'm not going to worry about the back side of it because we're going to glue that down. Alright, now before I put this down, I want to put some kind of little closure on here. And I'm thinking just a little Velcro dot. You could make it a lot more fancy and put a little button there and a button down here, but just for the sake of the video, I'm going to use the Velcro dot, and they work just as well. And these are just some that I get at Walmart. They're very, very inexpensive. And they've got the glue already on them, so let's make sure I put that straight on. There we go. And then just press that down. There we go. So there is our Velcro dot on there. Now this is going to glue right here. Just like that. And that's going to be a little pocket for all of our ephemera and goodies and things like that. But before I glue this pocket on, I want to do some stitching around this. The stitching will just help hold all of this paper on here. And it just, I like the looks of it. So I'm going to do some stitching first. And that will also seal my pockets up. So let me do the stitching and I'll be right back. So we have that stitched around, and my sewing machine was trying to act up a little bit, so I've got some stitches that are that dropped, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. See if you can see the stitching. I just stitched it in white, and it's just going to hold and make all of that a lot stronger. Alright, now we can glue this down in here. No, before I glue that, let me do this. Now, I have gone ahead and created the inserts for this. This is just some scrap paper that I had. This is regular scrapbook paper. This is an old sheet that I had that I messed up on. I just stamped a butterfly on it. Some of them I stitched around, some of them I didn't. Scrap paper, just a piece out of a old smash book. I stamped this on there, and then I inked around it and just did some stitching on it. Music page, Edith Holden page. That's my birthday month, so I put that in there. This is a Tina page, and I can do more stamping and things on these as I go along. I stamped that on there, and then I just used the second generation stamping on that. There I used a little Tim Holtz stamp See, some of them I stamped on, some of them I didn't. This one I've got upside down. So it doesn't matter. You can always go back later and do more to your inserts. You don't have to do everything at the beginning. So that's just one of our printables. And there's another music page, a page out of one of my old calendars. This is from one of our printables. It's just a picture of, it's like an old drawing of Italy. And then that's a Tina page. And then here is just, let's see, is this one of our printables? I think this is one of our printables, I do believe. So, let's see. I think I've got that stamp upside down, but I'm not going to worry about that. I can always put something over it. So that's going to be what goes inside. Now, I don't have very many pages in this one. You could always add more. This one, I've only got, let's see how many sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I've got 17 sheets in here. Some of them are half sheets, some of them are full sheets. And then I've got this scrapbook paper on the front side to cover all of that. So that's what we're going to put for our insert. Now, by the time that I add some memorabilia in there and things like that, that's going to be plenty thick enough, I think. Let's see. I'm trying to decide if I want to try to stitch this in, or if with my sewing machine, or if I want to hand stitch it. And I think since my hand is bothering me so much, I think I'm just going to stitch it in with my sewing machine. Or I'm going to try to. So I'm going to kind of lay these out like I want them to be stitched in. So I want them to kind of alternate. I don't want all of my little ones at the bottom and all my big ones at the top. So let's see. That one looks pretty good. We'll pull it on out a little bit more. Pull this one down some, like that. And then that one's okay. That one's okay. That one needs to come down, and then this needs to go up. That one can go in the center like that. That one the center maybe, and then that one is okay. And then we'll use this. I tell you what, I'm gonna flip that around and put that for the center right there. So that's how we're gonna sew that in. Now I'm just gonna do this. You don't want to stack them this way. If you do, it's gonna slide everything back down to one area. All your pieces are gonna go down to the bottom. So all I'm gonna do is just do it this way. Make sure that I get the centers of all of them together. Sorry, I just got a notice on my phone and I was trying to make sure that it wasn't something from my daughter. But just going to make sure that all my folds are right down through there, which they are. And then I'm going to put it on here and make sure that that fold is even and that it's kind of evened up from top to bottom here, and it is. Then I will put it right in that right there. Now normally I clip these, and I guess I could clip part of this. I'm not going to be able to clip all of it. I'm just going to be able to clip a little bit on the outside. I don't have a long clip right here where I can clip that. I think that will work right there. And then I'm just going to stitch right down through that center part right there. Hopefully my sewing machine is going to do it. If it doesn't act up on me some more, we will see. We shall see. Okay, let's go to the sewing machine. We'll try that. Alright, so my sewing machine did not like it. It's a little bit too thick for it, which is fine. It's not a problem. We can stitch it in by hand. Now, I've had quite a few people, which this is probably a good thing, because I've had a few people that have asked, could I slowly show them how to do the stitching when you're stitching a signature in. So I'm going to go pretty slow on this. and see if I can help you out. Hopefully this will help you. I'm just putting a little piece of foam down under here. You don't have to do that if you have one of these mats, but I just like to do that. It helps me puncture it a little bit better. Now you need to hold it up, and like I said, make sure you clip them. Clip your pages in where you want them. Hold it up to where you've got that center, just there's a little cave right there, or a little valley. And then you can measure this if you want. I don't usually measure that much, especially on something like this. You need to put one hole in the center. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. And that right there looks pretty good. So while you've got it folded up, go ahead and punch your hole. You can use, this is just an awl, but you can use just a pokey tool or straight pin, whatever you have that will poke a hole. And then I'm going to go up close to the top, and I'm coming down probably about, let's see how far I'm coming down here so I can tell you. I'm going to come down about 1.25 inches from the top of my album, and then while it's folded up, I'm going to put another hole. These things are very inexpensive on Amazon. I'll link one below, and they work fantastic. They're very sharp. Okay, then I'm going to do the same at the bottom. I'm going to come up about 1.25 inches from that bottom, and I'm going to put another hole in. That's while you're holding that up. If you try to do it with them laid out flat, a lot of times your holes won't go in the center here. All right, we've got those in. Now I'm going to take my big-eyed needle. This got a big eye in it, and it's got a blunt end on it. And then this is some waxed thread that I have. It's just white waxed thread. Let's see what the name of it is. That's it right there, and I will try to link it below as well. Now I don't cut my thread off of here. I just leave it on there. You're going to go down through that center hole. So push your needle down through the center hole. Now I use a little bit of something to help me push it through, but you probably won't have to do that if you don't have a sore thumb. There we go. Then I come back up to the top, and I go through that hole. If I can see it. There it is right there. And I kind of make sure that I'm coming up through that hole right there. If you've got them clipped together and you don't let them move, then it's pretty easy to come back up through that hole. Then we need to pull a little bit of thread, because we're going to need to go all the way down to the bottom. Go down to that bottom hole. So see, you're going from the top all the way to the bottom, and then you're going to go through that bottom hole. Just like that. Clipping them together just makes all the difference in the world, because then you don't have to worry about them slipping and trying to find the hole. Now you're going to take that where you come out of the bottom, you're going to come back to that center hole, and you're going to come back up through that center hole. Now my thread, my tail of my thread is over here. Here's my center string right there. So I'm going to bring my needle up on this side. So I've got my tail on this side. I'm going to bring my needle up on this side. So bring my needle up that way. Okay. Now I'm just go ahead and take my needle off because I'm finished stitching. So what I need to do now is I'm going to look out here and make sure I have no knots or anything in here. Make sure that's nice and straight, and it is. So then I'm going to pull it one way and pull it the other way just to tighten everything up. Then I can go ahead and cut my string. Again, I kind of check the outside. Looks good. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tie a knot, and see that knot is going to capture that center thread, because your threads are on one side and the other. And then I tie a square knot. And with this wax thread, you don't have to worry about it coming loose. And then I'll go ahead with this since I have enough left, and I'll tie a little bow. Maybe. There we go. A little bow. Like that. So there is our signature stitched in, just like that. And then this is going to close over. Is that not cute? I've got plenty of room. My thread's here. If you want to ink that thread up, you can, but with that white, it doesn't show. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my little front pocket in here. Right there. Alright, so let's put this pocket right here. We're just going to glue it down. And I'm going to leave the back open. I'm just going to glue 3 sides. That way I'll have another little tuck spot in behind that. Oops. Slid that right off of there. Pulling too hard. Alright, so we have this put together, and our pockets in and our pages in. And now I'm going to do the closure, and I'm just going to punch a hole. Let's see, where is my eyelet at? Just going to grab one of those blue eyelets, and I'm going to use the larger side here. I always have to clean that thing out first. I guess I need to empty it. That would probably be a good thing. And I marked kinda where the center is. I didn't take a lot of time with it, but I think right there would be good. There we go. And then I'm just going to put this eyelet in there. I think I am. Yeah. And then let's make sure I've got that set right. And there we go. So there is our eyelet in. Now we can put our string on here. I'm just going to roll off quite a bit of, this is just blue and white baker's twine. And we will put it, let's see how I want to do this. I think I'll fold it in the center, and then I'm just going to go through there, maybe. I'm going to go through there like that. And kind of loop it. And then we'll pull that around like that. And we can either tie it or tuck it in on, you know, we can either tuck it in or tie it, either one. I mean, you can do different ways. Or you could, you know, go one way with one string and the other way with the other string and then tie that up like that. So we'll worry about that once we get the outside a little bit decorated. I'm not going to worry about putting too much on this outside because I think that's pretty, but I do have somewhere in amongst this mess over here, I do have a big butterfly somewhere. Let me find it. Let's see. I think that one will work. Yeah, that one will probably work okay. Let's see what else we have if we want to do anything different. I don't know about the butterfly. I'm kind of leaning toward this. kind of leaning toward that now. Put a piece of paper down on here. Yeah, I kind of like that. All right, let's find a piece of paper that's large enough to put down on there. I know I've got some tea-dyed paper somewhere. Here's just some book page. Let's just do that. Just make a little cluster here. You just want something that's separated from the background. And I think we'll lay that right there. And I'm going to ink around this a little bit. This is a very old and very fragile paper. So if we put that there, and then if I put that, let's say like that maybe. And then I thought about bringing in this little flower like that, kinda. My clustering abilities are not really working great today, so I don't know. Let's see what that looks like. And then if that closes over, we'll still be able to see that. I like that. Okay, let's do that. So let's glue this paper down first. And I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac on all of this. And then we'll put this down. And I know this is a flower and a flower, but it's okay with me. Sometimes you just use what you want to use. So I think I'm going to put that right there. And then this, put it right there. And then I'll put, I think, a word up there at the top. Alright, I'm just going to use Blessed. This is in one of our digital kits. And we'll put that right there, like that. And that's going to close over. I think that's cute. Alright, now what we were saying, you can wrap it, you can wrap 2 or 3 different ways. Let's wrap that way, and then you can wrap this way if you want to. And then you would bring it back to the front and just tie it there. But I think for quick and easy, I think I like mine just wrapped like this. That way I can go kind of up under my flower and there. And then on this one, I'll just kind of tuck it under like that. And you can always, if you want to tighten it up, you could always come back up. But I think that's good enough for me right there. I like that. I like that look. Now, do we want any lace up here? I didn't think about that before I put my hole in. We could put lace there if we wanted to. Let's see what it would look like. That's what the lace there would look like. And we could just go right over that eyelet. It's not a big deal. I think I am going to put it down. I like that. I think that's pretty. Okay. And I'm just going to go right over top of my eyelet. It's not going to matter. You could have put this in before you, or put this on before you put your eyelet in there if you'd wanted to. You know me, I'm always afterthought. But that's still going to wrap just fine because this is going to go down instead of up. It's not going to go up. So that's going to be wrapping just fine. I've got a little tool somewhere. I'm going to hold that up and see if it's close to straight. I think that is. Then I'm going to clip off this little edge right here. I'm just going to let it run the way that my little flap runs. Just like that. Oh, I like that. I like that. And then I can tuck this under here, pull that around, and then put it under. And you could put beads on the end of this if you want it to hold good and snug. You could put some beads on the end of that string. And then I think that's it. I don't think we're going to put anything else on there. I think that is all that we need. And I may go back and put some little lace around here, but I'm going to have to find some. I am out of just the tiny little lace that would go around. So I'll probably go back and put just some tiny little lace around that. But since that's on the back right now, I'm not going to worry about it. But that is it for the little folio that is made from one of those envelopes. Isn't that cute? And it's so quick and easy. So I think this would be a good thing to take on a little journey and just be able to jot down things. It's just like a little junk journal, because you've got your pockets here, all your pages that you can journal on, all kinds of writing possibilities. I like this. I think I might take this with me on a little journey. Alright guys, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Now, I'm not sure if I will have a video up tomorrow. If I do, it probably wouldn't be a tutorial. But I will let you know. I'll either come on and just say something to you real quick, or we'll see you when we return. But I'm going to take just a little time off and let my hand heal. I'm having a really hard time with my thumb, and it's swelling when I'm working all day, so I'm going to take just a couple of days off and let my hand do some healing, and then we'll be back, hopefully back in the swing of things. Alright, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Bye-bye.